anybody that's watching this, I'm interviewing Joe Reep. He is the owner of Ashland Comfort Control. Second generation owner, grew up in the family business, right, Joe?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. And how long have you owned the company?
Since 2016, January 1st of 2016. So a little over 4 years now. Yeah, family business. So I've been in this my entire life. I'm a lifer. Even though I've only been working back in the business for about 6 years.
So after college, you went and worked for somebody else?
I went for another engineering firm for several years, and then as my wife Brittany and I started having children, and we were living in Columbus, and we're looking for a little bit more quality of life than quantity of life, I think, and decided to move back to Ashland, Ohio, and take over the family business. So
super. And now you and I were introduced through your supplier, correct?
We were, yeah. So we are an Amana dealer for HVAC equipment, and one of my vendors, a district manager, after some conversations that he and I had he must have met you or somebody from Buji at a conference or networking event or something, and he said, "Hey, I think you really need to chat with these folks," just with some of the things that I had talked about, trying to grow the business and take it to the next level. So
yeah.
Then the rest is history. Yeah.
And what were your thoughts originally when he said, "Hey, you should chat with these guys"?
I'm a people person, so I'll chat with anybody. I'll give anybody a meeting. But there's being the second generation in a family business. I always have my parents that I can lean on. They've been through a lot of things. But there are also a lot of things, and by no fault of their own, that they're on their way out. Well, I'm on my way in, trying to make my mark on the company. And sometimes my parents were hesitant to some of the decisions that I was making. I said, well, you know what? It might be nice to have somebody else to bounce some of these ideas off, as opposed to just my parents, who are so in the know, and they started the business, so they've got a lot of time and money and efforts invested into it, and sometimes it's nice to see an outside perspective.
Good. And Joe, when we originally met and went through because we do a little bit of a vetting process before we bring on clients and things like that.
Yep.
What made you decide that you really wanted to work with us and that?
I remember driving down. It was kind of on a whim.
Yeah, you brought Brittany with you, right?
I can't remember if she.
Or did you come alone the first time?
I think I came alone the first time, and we chatted just kind of about some of my goals for the business, and you guys asked me a lot of questions that I didn't have the answers to. Because I was just kind of going with the status quo. I kind of had these, pipe dream ideas about what I wanted to do with the business, but no real plan for that. And still working through some of those things. What am I trying to get out of this business, and what is my, finish point? But I liked you guys. So that's first and foremost. Most of my interaction was with you, Craig, before even meeting Annette. That first meeting. I liked you. I liked your values. I liked the Christian values in the company. I like that you guys like to have a good time and prioritize fun, which is right along with me. And one other thing that I really like is that you're not just looking at one business. You get perspective from all of the other businesses and know what works well and what doesn't work well. And it's just something that I didn't have in my arsenal to take the business where I wanted to go. So.
Yep. So from a experience perspective, we've been working together now for
about a year and a half, I think.
Year and a half now, yeah.
Yep.
And what are some of the biggest things you have seen or experienced as a client in terms of vision, profitability, things like that? What have
Sure. Well, one of the very first things that Annette suggested that we do when she started working with us more closely was to get my team all on the same page. So we had a team alignment day where she came up to the shop and got all of my managers on board, had me share some of that vision with my managers, so we're all shooting for the same target, which is good. Sometimes in our business in the service-based industry, it's just putting out fires all day, every day, and again, kind of wondering why the heck am I doing this and putting myself through it. So that has been, it's been a challenge. We redid all of our core values and mission statements and all the brainstorming and word mapping and everything else that we did. I think we went through a couple of those gigantic Post-it note pads. So that's been really helpful to get the team on the same page. They know the vision for the company, where it's going. We've kind of have a sketch work of how we're going to get there. So definitely working with my team has been a big plus. We've had some challenges in the last year and a half. We've had and I'm not even talking about the coronavirus yet.
Right, so, right. We haven't even gotten there yet.
But I mean, one of the things also, and we talk about teams some more, but we've had pretty significant turnover in some of those management positions and some of the other key positions within the company. Some of that was at the nudging of Annette. Some of it was not by choice. It just kind of happened.
Yep.
So that's been good. Again, we did our first ever group interview where we had, I think, 7 candidates for one of these positions come in, and Annette and Lori helped lead that process, which is something that we never would have entertained. And it's not for everybody or for every position, but that was definitely a rewarding and a good opportunity to learn different ways of doing things, and we came out for the better.
Yeah, it's a unique process, isn't it?
It is, yes. I think every single person that walked into that interview room was scared to death, and when they came out, everybody was laughing and friends, and you know, we got a great candidate who's still with us today. So,
and what was the value of it from your perspective? Just the way we approach vetting candidates and doing that kind of a process. Did you save time? And
yeah, I mean, saving time, certainly, because you don't have to sit down with every single person. It gets you to the end result much quicker. And it's hard, again, running all over the place every single day, trying to squeeze in interviews with folks and schedule and everything else. It's one date, one time. That's it, take it or leave it. And that was great. Also kind of proved to us that the old tried and true methods that we had in place aren't always the best. Sometimes to think outside of the box and it can be just as fruitful as the old tried and true methods. So that was good. As far as profitability goes, we have not seen as much profit, but that is because we're adding pretty significant amounts of overhead right now in the form of management positions and machinery and equipment and capital expenditures and things that in anticipation of this growth. So yep. It's not always perfect when you're looking at the financials and say, you know, but that's an anticipation of this growth, and we need to have some of that infrastructure in place in order to be able to not go insane when that growth does occur. So I feel like we're really kind of right on that tipping point right now to see. So I won't go so far as saying exponential growth quite yet, but we are right there, ready to pounce, I guess.
Excellent. So, we've been building the foundation to prepare for really.
Absolutely.
Yep. And one of the first things, if I recall properly, one of the first things was really looking hard at, your gross profit margins and finding some areas in terms of repricing
Correct.
and stuff like that to make sure you're capturing all your costs. Your gross profit margins are higher, even though it's
Right.
not all on the bottom line yet because of the reinvestment in some of
Yep.
the.
Absolutely. I get reminded to raise my prices constantly. So, but yeah, we're looking at every single line item there and trying to maximize those margins and one of the big things in that, and that Annette is on me all the time as a business owner, I tend to want to do everything myself. And I have to be reminded constantly to delegate those things. And then I'm held accountable for it when I don't.
and is the accountability always fun?
No, not necessarily. It's a pill to swallow, and but it's sometimes it can be fun. But there's friendly wagers, and what are you gonna buy me if I, could friendly little wagers like that? So no, it's all good.
Well, you must be a great client then, because I don't remember you buying us a bunch of stuff yet. So
Not yet.
getting
No.
it done.
Well, that seems to be. I need deadlines, and I need things that make it hurt for me to get going. But that's good.
Exactly. And now, Joe, you went to our BizX conference
I did. I've been to
earlier.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've been to two now. That's right.
Actually, I went on a whim. Again, one of these things. I don't know what got into me. I am a spur of the moment kind of guy, and I like to be spontaneous. But Annette had invited me to go to BizX in Charleston before I was even a client. So I was just a prospective client at that point in time, and that honestly was probably one of the best things for me to go and see. That there are lots of other people out there, business owners that are networking and get to meet a good chunk of the team and hear some of these ideas from some of the speakers and things like that. So then this past year, I took my office manager Dawn and her husband and my wife Brittany, and next year I think we'll have 3 attending. So
awesome.
yeah.
So meeting the rest of the how would you describe the community that Action Coach has in terms of the attendees at BizX and the other action coaches from around the country and the speakers and the clients and stuff like that? How valuable is that for you as a client?
Oh, I think that's super valuable. I was amazed. I think you might be the most popular guy in those rooms. You seem to know a lot of people there, but just everybody is like-minded individuals. Everybody is very enthusiastic and positive about their outlook and positive about entrepreneurship and owning businesses. Again, some of the speakers getting you to think outside the box, getting you to consider ideas or methods for improving your business or your people or yourself that are really cutting edge, I guess. But then also bringing it back and simplifying it, that nobody's business is the same, yet there are certain things that apply to every single business. So again, it just because my company does HVAC and plumbing doesn't mean that somebody that is a carpet cleaner, and that's even too close as far as what we actually do. But a consultant, they have the same problems, and they have the same financial statements, and they have the same people that they have to work with and everything else. So there's lots of crossover there.
Exactly. And you mentioned COVID earlier. How did you feel going through COVID? Obviously, it's a challenge for everybody during that time, but how was Buji Action Coach able to help you get through COVID, and what was your experience with that?
Sure. I mean, really, that is probably where I have seen the most value from our partnership. Annette had the great idea to put together a nightly Zoom call once, for an hour, and sometimes it lasted a half hour, sometimes it lasted 2 hours, just depending on what round of the PPP was coming out. And meeting with all the other clients that she was coaching, and you joined in on some of those calls with us, and that was invaluable. I mean, just to know that everybody was going through the same thing, to share tips and pointers. And fortunately, we had Linda Sheridan in there, who was a CPA and could lend some of her expertise. And just some of the contacts that you guys were able to put us in touch with, and the webinars with the Huntington Bank and the SBA folks. And I mean, that was invaluable. It really kind of gave me a little bit of peace of mind and a game plan for getting through. And I'm confident. I mean, we never know what the future holds, but we are coming out of that entire event stronger. And I'm not sure that would have been the case. I know that wouldn't have been the case had I been floundering around on my own. I certainly wouldn't have been a very good husband or boss or son or whatever else. So I mean, but just to have those other people to lean on, and we were kind of an emotional support group with one another. I think it was the unhappy happy hour. Sometimes always after hours, but no, that was fantastic.
Good. And speaking of being a better husband and stuff like that, or you wouldn't have been as good of a husband through that, how has some of the stuff that you're working on with us impacting the personal life?
Sure. Well, I know that one of my first goals that Annette established with me was to reduce the amount of hours that I was working, so I could be available for my family and not burning both ends of the candle, early mornings and late nights. And then I have a almost 6-year-old and an almost 8-year-old at home. And I've always tried to be pretty conscious of that. Being a second generation owner, I saw all the hours that my parents put through and put into the business. And, but that it was absolutely necessary at that time, trying to get this business off the ground. But at the same time, I knew that I didn't want to repeat that. I wanted to be there for my kids, and my parents were there for me, but just keeping that top of mind there. And sometimes I'm coaching a t-ball team and a coach pitch baseball team, and my son is playing soccer and my daughter's doing dance, even in the midst of all these COVID restrictions. Sometimes I wish I could go back to work at night after just to get back to normalcy a little. I mean, it is chaotic. We divide and conquer, but no, it's been really good. I know that my wife, Brittany, she's a CPA as well, but she really appreciates the resource that Buji has been to me. She enjoyed going along to the BizX conference and getting to know the Buji team as well as all of the other clients. And it's been good because I think if she were on this call, she would probably affirm that it's been a good decision. And it's made me be more present with the family and things, because I know I've got things mostly under control back at the farm. So
fantastic. And what do you see for the future, Joe, as we look forward into the next 3 to 5 to 10 years? What do you see for the future of the company, and how has your vision shifted since we've been working together?
I think we have really bright futures ahead. One being that we are in a skilled trade, service-based industry, that the demand is going to stay the same. But on the flip side of that, the ability of people to do that type of work is fewer and fewer. But that doesn't bode very well for growth when you're trying to, open additional locations or spread your geographical footprint. But I really do think that we've put some things in place and put some infrastructure in place within the company, trying to standardize and create processes for things so they become repeatable. We've looked real hard at the different segments of our business. We've got residential and commercial and HVAC versus plumbing versus other service offerings. And Annette has gone through gone through each divisionalized and departmentalized financials and recognized opportunities for improvement on those. There may be some tough decisions down the road about, hey, you know what, this isn't something that we want to grow or something that we can't grow.
Right.
But having all that information and knowledge when we're making those decisions is something that she's helped me with tremendously and will continue to. We don't have it all figured out yet. I'm not sure that we ever will. But I'm excited about the future. And like I said, we are right on that tipping point of being able to realize some of those things that we set out in our 3 to 5 year projection, 2.5 to 3, 2 year, however long ago it was. I can see some of those things are starting to fall in place. So it's exciting.
That's very cool. Do you feel like your company is even more competitive and better positioned compared to competitors in the industry and in the region going forward?
Certainly in our area, we're kind of in a rural area, and I do. There are big, giant behemoths of companies out there, which actually a smaller company like ours might be a little bit more nimble and able to shift depending on what the market is asking for. But yeah, I think we're a little bit better prepared and are thinking about some of those things. I can't speak for any of my competitors really about what their growth plans are, or maybe there isn't a growth plan. Maybe it's work till retirement and then close up shop. But I think what we're putting in place is sustainable and something that hopefully I'll be able to pass down to one of my children as the third generation owners. Who knows how long down the road. So
yeah, exactly. And what would you recommend to somebody who's in your shoes, a business owner who's considering partnering with ActionCOACH in terms of us working with them to help them in their businesses?
Absolutely. I would say if you're looking for a level of accountability that you don't have right now, if you're looking for insights into what works for other businesses instead of just banging your head on the table or doing Google searches or reading books, we still do a lot of that, no doubt. But even today, bouncing ideas off of a net, no matter how little they may be, it was wording on a postcard that was a direct mail postcard, or it could be things as restructuring the org chart. There's lots of really good information that's available, not just from Buji, but from the ActionCOACH network as a whole. It's always good to have somebody else's voice in your head other than your own when you're making these decisions and facing these things, and just a sounding board to bounce ideas off of, and as friends too. I appreciate the friendship that we have and that we can have a good time and enjoy each other's company, but also know that there's somebody there that has my best interests in mind when I'm making these decisions and when they're giving me advice. Obviously, as our company continues to have success, then that can only mean good things for Buji and the ActionCOACH team. So I don't know. I think just do it. Just hang out with Craig and Annette, and they'll steer you in the right direction. Awesome.
Thank you. Anything else you would just say in general about your experiences?
You know what? It's not a huge thing, but I think it's definitely something worth mentioning. One of the unanticipated benefits, or I don't know if I suppose I'd call it a benefit, is the other clients that you get to meet and the friendships that you form at the BizX, or one thing that I really, really appreciate. Brittany and I were the United Way campaign co-chairs for Ashland County last year. And we organized a celebrity bartender event at our local brewing company in downtown Ashland. And the whole team came up. Craig and Annette and Linda and Andrea and everybody came up and supported us. And that was fantastic. It was completely unexpected, but that's the kind of group that you guys have put together, and I can't say thanks enough about that. You know, we hit our goal this year, and that was certainly one of the big evenings for that, and to have you guys there supporting me. Obviously that goes outside of what the commitment was from, you know, when we signed on with Buji, but I really appreciate that. And it's something that you can't always put in a proposal when you're deciding whether to work with a business coach, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So.
that was a really funny thing. And,
I didn't mention, although now I'm recorded, and there's plenty of pictures to prove it, when I was in my neon spandex dancing on the bar with the
it was pretty awesome.
Got it. Whatever you got to do for tips.
Hey, that generates donations. So
that's right. That's right.
Yep. If he's willing to do that, I guess I'll throw some money at him.
That's right.
Yep.
I think I got more money for that because people wanted me to get down. They were tired of looking at that.
Exactly. And so, Joe, just
yes.
if you don't mind, just share how would somebody get in touch with you?
Sure.
If they need some HVAC or plumbing work done or anything like that in the region that you support.
Absolutely. Well, our company is Ashland Comfort Control. Our website is ashlandcomfortcontrol.com. Probably the easiest way would be a phone call. Our phone number is 419-281-0144, or you can email me, and I'll give you just the generic, but it all comes to me. It's info@ashlandcomfort.com.
Excellent. And what geography do you do business in, and what are your real specialties?
Yeah. We're located in Ashland, Ohio, and typically we tell people that we serve about a 45-mile radius from Ashland. So just on up to about Medina area and down to about Mount Vernon for now, until these growth plans go into place. But we do everything from residential HVAC and plumbing, emergency service, preventative maintenance, but we also have engineers on staff and a big full commercial construction all the way from ground up, and we can do design build and stamp engineer drawings. So we're a jack of all trades. We don't have any specialty. We specialize in everything.
Excellent. And what makes you different than somebody else in your industry?
Well, going back to some of the things that Annette had helped us with, I think our core values, one of them would be family. There are lots of family-owned businesses out there, and I know everybody holds that close, and that's something to be proud of. But I really do. We obviously, my family started the business. We've got brothers that work for us. We've got father-sons that work for us. We have cousins that work for us. So it really is one big family, and I think people can see that we enjoy one another, and I really do think we have one of the best teams in all of Ohio when it comes to home or commercial HVAC and plumbing services.
Yeah, I can definitely echo that from a family and cultural perspective. So that's something that's a benefit whether somebody's in your industry and looking for a new job and being part of a company that really values people as well as your customers.
Absolutely. And I'm there every single day. So people have access to me, where with some of the bigger chains and national brands, that's not the case. You can't call and talk to the owner because they aren't located in the building or even in the state sometimes. So.
Yep. Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This last year and a half, and looking forward to, the next conference. And
absolutely. Cool. Well, my pleasure. I appreciate it. And yeah, one more big plug for Buji Action Coach. You guys do a great job, and I'm really appreciative of everything that you guys have done for me in the last year and a half, and looking forward to many more.
Thank you so much. Say hi to Brittany.
All right, will do.
Bye-bye.